Japan-Alaska Association's mission is to serve as an umbrella organization for Japan-Alaska organizations to promote friendship between our two nations and to create opportunities to share, preserve, and celebrate Japanese traditions with anyone interested in Japanese culture. We hope that you will choose to join our efforts to strengthen our community through personal and cultural connections. So what's a kotatsu? No, it's not a cat. Japanese of my grandmother's generation cooked meals, shared stories while eating mandarins, and created memories at the cooking hearth known as the irori. The kotatsu is a modern version of the irori, and now is found in most Japanese households in the form of a wooden table with a heat source. This piece of furniture is often the only source of heat and the central gathering place for Japanese families. The Japan-Alaska Association needs your team's help to plan a series of guided community discussions that bring the warmth of this tradition to draw not just those of Japanese heritage, but all members of our community who have an appreciation for Japanese culture. These events will serve as an opportunity to create unity within the Japanese community in Anchorage and beyond.
Okay, today as the moderator, I want to thank three of you for joining us. So we have Sensei Katsutaka Tanaka. He is from Tanaka's Martial Arts Academy and also a judge with the World Karate Federation. Second, we have Sensei Dr. Hiroko Harada from the UAA Japanese Language Department, also AKA TJ, and also from the Japan-Alaska Association. And third, we have Sensei Shunji Ninoyu, Japanese language teacher at Colony High School, and also with the UA Matsu Japanese Language Department, and also the president of AKA TJ, among many other things inside the community. So, what brought you to Alaska? Perhaps we could start with Ninoyu Sensei.
The reason why I came to Alaska, I had a little dream when I was a high school student. And I wanted to build a bridge between Alaska and Japan about culture and people. So that was the one of the major reasons why I came to Alaska.
Had you always had a life dream to come here, even from a young age? Did it kind of happen later on in your student life, or?
Yeah, when I was a high school student, then that's, I think, because I met senior in Japanese word it's a senpai, and it happened to be Tanaka Sensei is one of the senpai to me, and I have a couple of other senpai who went to same college in Japan, and so while we are talking about our life and studying abroad and get to know more about different culture is one of the major the idea, the thoughts. And so meanwhile, I get more ideas about friendship, between or among different countries. And to me, why people ask me why Alaska. It's simply because the college where we went to, sister college, sister school relationship, which was I went to the college named Nagoya Gakuin University in Seto those days, and that college and Alaska Methodist University, which is a former college of the Alaska Pacific University right now. You know,
Long time ago.
yes, Okada-san. It's been a long time ago.
Feels like yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's feel like.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Yes. Then yeah, that's the reason why I picked Alaska, and it's been here for a while.
Well, with that connection with Tanaka-san, I think it would be a great segue for you perhaps to be next. And if you could tell us a little bit about what brought you to Alaska, and perhaps elaborate more on the connection between the two of you.
As he's explained to you that NGU, Nagoya Gakuin University, and Alaska Methodist University, now it's APU, they started the exchange program. However, I was already graduating the university in Japan, so instead of I came to AMU as an exchange student, I came as an exchange instructor. And I started teaching karate for AMU and started teaching karate with the UAA.
Great.
So that was in 1969. So that's 47 years ago. No, 48 years now.
Imagine you've seen Anchorage change a lot
Oh yeah.
in those
Mhm.
in those times. Similar to you sensei, when you were in Japan, did you get a lot of people asking you, why Alaska? Why are you?
Well, I didn't have
Going
any
there.
idea where I was going.
Yeah.
But because I was a captain of the university karate team, then the professor from AMU asked me if I was interested in coming to the United States and teach karate. And I said, well, I guess I could. Then that became a reality. I came and I was supposed to stay just 1 year contract. Then I was almost elected as a best instructor of the year, the AMU. Because what I did is very strict Japanese way, and they weren't really used to it. But what I did, even though it really, punished the students, but they really liked it. So because of that, the president of the university asked me, can I stay another year? And I said, I don't think so, because I have to go back to the company I was working for in Japan. Then he said, okay, let me write the letter. So he did. Then he got one more year. Then I ended up staying another year, and I'm still here.
Great. Well, we are better for it that you are still here. And Harada Sensei, maybe perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about what brought you
Why
to
I
Alaska?
came here? Yeah, but my case probably totally different from them, and I'm relatively very new. I came here 1998, which is about 18 years ago. And in my life, I never thought that I would come to Alaska. And Alaska is not in my, language and in my life. So why I came here is just because of the job here at UAA. And prior to Alaska, I was teaching in Colby College in Maine. Yeah. So from Maine, Waterville, Maine to Anchorage, family drove all the way. 5,500 miles. So that's 8,000 kilometers from Japan to Turkey, if you go right.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And my husband drove a U-Haul truck, and I drove a Ford van.
Oh.
Yeah, so and then we had a walkie-talkie. We didn't have cell phone that time, so in case we got lost, we use this
communicate that way.
radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually at the border of the Canada and the USA, we got lost each other, so it was very handy.
The walkie-talkie, yes.
But anyway, we came here in August. So the more you drive to the north, the day becomes longer.
Mm-hmm.
So I could drive until like midnight. Yeah. So by the time we finally came to Anchorage, I thought I could drive, be a professional truck driver.
Yes.
Yeah, and then, but it was a long, long drive, and there's a place called Alaskan Highway 0 Mile. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
The Dawson?
Yes, in Dawson. Yeah.
Dawson,
Mhm.
yeah. And then I went into the shop there, and then I asked, finally, Alaska Highway. Okay, so maybe Anchorage is closed. So how many more miles from here? And then they said, about 2,000. So I fainted. But anyway, and then what we've discovered here was Waterville, Maine. Maybe you can, some people know. It's a very remote. I mean, how do you say? Not diverse.
In
Waterville,
Waterville.
Maine. I was only Japanese. Yeah. So from there, and so my daughter used to ask me, because her skin is a little bit darker than me. So she asked me, because my husband is from Hong Kong, so she asked me in Maine, almost every day, why my skin is darker than other people. And then I had to tell them always that, your skin color is the most healthy color, But one step we step into this area, Anchorage, she stopped this question.
Because of the diversity.
It's just so diverse here. Yeah, so she
Wonderful.
merged into this area. And so,
Excellent.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
so she stopped that question.
Well, we were very glad to hear that. So definitely one of the commonalities between the three of you is that the universities brought each of you here.
Yeah, right.
Right? Higher education.
Yeah.
So very nice to hear that. Why did you stay? Ninoyu, since if you'd like to elaborate, why did you probably didn't know how long you were going to be here when you first came? What got you to stay?
I think again, one of the main reason is that because I wanted to pursue my dream, which building a bridge between two countries, and there are many different ways I can do. Doesn't have to be educator, can be just a businessman. And as a matter of fact, before I started to teach Japanese language, I worked for City of Anchorage for a long time.
Oh, okay.
As an engineer technician. And so then still, with that kind of job, I had a chance to communicate with, different people and different countries. And not directly connected to the city, but while I've been the engineering work, I had to have a chance to contact with different companies in Japan in mapping things. The reason why I keep staying here is the same. The way of fulfill my dream can be any ways I could do. So that's continue for me to stay in Alaska. And I think even if the climate isn't the favorable, it's cold. We already have the two major seasons, summer and winter. And we do have, as you know, we do have the fall, but it's only what?
Short and
Short.
sweet.
Week, 2
Yes.
weeks somehow. I guess I get into like
Yeah,
being Alaska.
kind of grew on you
Yes.
over time.
Yeah.
Tanaka-sensei, I know you talked a little bit about this already, but would you care to elaborate more on kind of why did you stay? It was supposed to be a year, then it was going to be 2 years.
Understood.
Now it's many years later. Right.
Well, what happened is because all this time, when I was teaching karate, I feel and felt like I'm teaching karate for Japan. And back then, the Oriental people and Japanese people, we are not respected. And especially if some kind of tools or anything like this, if it's break down, they say, oh, that's Japanese made. So I thought, okay, I need to gain the respect toward Asian and especially Japanese people. How am I going to do that? Then I was thinking about, I need to communicate with them well. So unless I can communicate with them, with my students, and explain what the karate is all about, it's not really punching, kicking, and blocking. It's a way of life. So that's what the do form is all about. Karate do, judo, kendo, kado, chado, shodo, whatever do. What is that supposed to mean? That means you study particular discipline to learn how to become a better human being. And so we have very good, unique culture, the Japanese culture, which is great for the human being, which happened to be karate do. So I decided to study English. But in order to study English, so since I was teaching at the university, I could take classes for free. Okay, I'm going to go for another degree. So I started studying and realized it takes longer than I thought. And then when I finished AMU, my English is not good enough. So I decided to go back to UA. Then I studied another degree. Then finally, in 1976, I finished, 2 colleges. However, because more I study, I can explain what the Japanese culture is all about. And because I wanted to get respect. Because that was the saddest things I experienced in the beginning. Like when I went to a downtown store, I was looking at electronic equipment. Then I wanted to see how it works. Then I was told, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Okay, I'm not going to touch it. Then a minute later, American guys come and they're grabbing, they're looking at it. He didn't say anything. He said, what is this? We need to change this.
Yep. Quite the eye-opener,
Yeah.
I imagine.
Then, because back then, in this country, it's kind of like, if you're smarter than them, stronger than them, richer than them, what if it's better than them? They respect you. So I had the karate, the tools to get respected. And so therefore, I used to go to community schools or elementary schools, junior high schools, or high schools, sometimes 3 times a week for a long time to get respected.
Well, I can only imagine that you have easily earned the respect of many people over all those years.
So, but the difficult part was, so I was taking the classes, right? And I told my karate students how karate helps you. One of the things is concentration mind. So when I'm taking the classes, some of my students are taking the same classes. So I couldn't do worse than them.
Yeah. Pressure.
Even though I didn't really understand, because when I came over here, I couldn't speak English at all. So, because of that, if you don't speak English good enough, they think, well, you're not smart enough. Immediately. So, therefore, I have to prove it to them, I can do better than you. Because of that, I wouldn't be too surprised if I can say I have to study at least 3 or 4 times more than American students have to do.
To accomplish
Yeah.
similar goals.
Because I couldn't get the worst grades than them.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sad. Some of the students had trouble understanding the classes, right? So I try to help them. Then they look at me and say, really, you're going to help me?
They're surprised that you're offering or that...
Yeah, so they brush me off until I got the highest score in the class.
Wow.
But at that time, then I didn't want to help them anymore. Because it's not only 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It's for a long time. Because we were put down back then. Especially, it was kind of scary feeling, because especially at the auditorium. And they're discussing something I didn't really understand what was. But then some of the students stand up and say, we won the World War II. Why? So, but anyway, then I really realized we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So, but then luckily, Japan did well. So the automobiles, cameras, or TV sets, or whatever, electronics, in Japan got a lot of respect because finally Japan became the second world economic power. So that's how our existence has been changed. But back then it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Harada Sensei, any thoughts on that you might care to share on why
I
you
stayed here.
Yeah, I can only imagine that you probably didn't know back then how long you may be here.
No, it was my job. Well, after driving for like 8,000 miles, I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go. But my job at the Kobe College in Maine was a 3-year contract. So that was not a permanent job. And then so when I came here, it was a, how do you call it? It's called a tenure track position. So, and then, so that's so I was expecting that I would stay here for quite a while. Yeah. Well, if everything went well and it's successful, yeah. But at the same time, I came here as a coordinator of the Japanese program here. And at that time, the Japanese program was the smallest program in the languages department. And then enrollment was lowest, like 86 students. And then, so my mission was to build the program. So I worked like, もう皆さんもそうですけども like hell. I mean, 本当に必死でした。Yeah.
To try to grow and
to grow. Yeah. So I visited high school here and there, and then talk about the Japanese program here. I mean, at the UAA, they try to promote the program, and so in 5 years, the enrollment got 180 something. So it's like
well,
like
you more than doubled.
Yeah, within 5 years that was not doubled. It was 103% growth.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and then the program started to become healthy, and then I got talking about the respect. I got respect from the department because when I came here, whenever we had a departmental meeting, they were talking about eliminating Japanese. So I like your fighting spirit, and I respect your. I mean, yes, I'm glad that you had such a fighting spirit. I also, needed to fight when to survive, and
thinking of that growth and the fighting spirit that all of you have, how big is the program today with the enrollment?
This semester 150 students
Okay,
are
so
studying.
it's still
Yes,
very,
it's
very
still
high.
very
and-
healthy, and then it was the smallest program, but now it's the second largest program after Spanish.
Spanish, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think nationwide, the college enrollment is going down.
Down,
Yeah.
okay. So it's a
So,
trend happening
trend, yeah.
throughout the country.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's still healthy.
The good thing about, like, the three of us right here, right? We're teachers, right? And I think we have very good position to influence people.
Mhm.
Maybe it may not be thousands of people. We can reach one person at a time. And because I talk about a Japanese culture all the time, and we talk about manners, respect, and self-discipline all the time, and how to treat others the way you like to be treated. So, because we are in that position, we can talk about it during the class if we want to.
Mhm. Yeah, a position of authority, and you've got a platform to share
Yeah.
these experiences. Tanaka Sensei, you talked about the challenges that you faced. I imagine that you had even more challenges as the years went by. Is there anything else that you may care to share with us that was a bit difficult or surprising that you had to deal with the people here when you were new?
Well, because I was a karate instructor, right? The difficult experience was somebody brings in the big boards
Mm-hmm.
and say, can you break this? And some of them are 4-inch thick. But back then, I couldn't turn it down. I have to make it happen.
They were expecting you to do
Yeah,
it.
because regardless.
Yeah.
And some of them, even though, let's say, 2-inch board and the 5 centimeters, however, it was wet. Can you believe that? I had to break the wet board because they bent.
Wet board, and were they 4 inches?
No,
Okay.
2 inches.
Okay, but still, yeah.
You know what I mean? However, I couldn't say I couldn't. I had to. So even hitting the boards, I was hitting the floor because I have to make it happen. Because otherwise, I'm gonna let the Japanese down.
Harada Sensei, any particular challenges? I imagine your challenges might not be martial arts related and breaking boards, but nonetheless, any particular challenges in your life here in Alaska that you had to overcome?
Well, so yeah, I was once asked to teach a history course, which is not my specialty, but East Asian history course. And then I realized that many students are taking just for credit. So, and then they're, honestly expressed to me saying that, I'm not interested in going out, anything outside of Alaska. And even, I'm not interested in Asia at all. And I was, why you are taking this course? But anyway, that kind of sentiment that,
Yeah. Early on, so the class is harder to teach because they're not interested.
and then
immediately.
open up their heart, so that they will be interested in more, cross-cultural things, and then, celebrate diverse things. Yeah, but it was difficult. But one time I had a student who was from Korea, And he was born in Korea and raised in Korea, and in a very strict way, in a very strict anti-Japanese environment.
Mm-hmm.
So he had that mind when he came here. For some reason, he took Japanese, and after taking 2 years, he came to my office saying that after taking Japanese, I had I used to have a anti-Japan.
Yeah, kind of like a bias.
But yes,
Mhm.
but he had inner change. He went through an inner change, and he realized that he was wrong, and then he expressed that his inner feeling to me. That was a very moving, touching moment to me, and I thought, okay, that's it. I mean, I'm not teaching only language. I'm teaching students to cultivate. 人材教育ってなんて言うんだろう。Yeah. And then I have a mission to teach Japanese to cultivate students who, who can be the bridge between Japan and whatever the country, their own country. Yeah, so Japan and America or Japan and Korea, whatever. It's very important nowadays to maintain peace between countries. And then so we have a very important mission, I realized, through this student.
Yeah, so it became much more than just teaching a class.
Right.
Yeah. After and I hopefully your other students, at least some of them, it became more meaningful to them instead of just getting credit.
Yes.
That's so great. How about Nino? You said that.
So.
Challenges, extra challenges
right.
from when you moved here.
I don't know myself. I ever had any challenges. Myself. Or difficulties, except Okasan. I think it's just because try to live a life with challenge in general, right? And being the Japanese language teacher, and also the try to teach good things and right things, and also what we talked about, Harada talked about peace, keeping the peace, how we can have peace with the different countries, that kind of things, So all I could do, all I can do is that I just act myself that way, Something I learned, when I get to, come to United States, in Japan, if the kids made some sort of mistake, and dad or mom, tell the kids, hey, you did this and this, wrong, you have to behave yourself or something, But here, they don't say much, I think. I don't see, I haven't, talked to the, many American families, but they usually don't say much. Instead, father or mother is more like a role model, with the saying, this, and he acted or she acted this way, and the kids are looking at, how they behave quite right.
So they'll model their behavior off of
Yeah.
parents. Yeah.
So I learned that very good. So I kind of wanna follow, that spirit, So, so in my classroom, I guess I try to do the same way, although I have sometimes I say, no, you can't do that, but, also, and I kind of jump into about the peace things, I also, I talked about I wanted to be a bridge builder, building bridges in different countries. And to do it, one other important thing is that what if we, people get to know each other and become the friends, and you don't want to fight with, good friend, So developing friendship with, different countries would be one of the way to have the more peaceful the places in the world, and which would be, anti-war, I mean, also we have still a lot of war, but, eliminating the, war, we can have the, more peaceful places, So, one of the program teaching Japanese at the high school is that I take my students to Japan once in 2 years, every other year. And so I want them to see how, Japanese behave or have what kind of, life they have, that kind of thing, by their own eyes, So many times, they really learn positive, things, and Japanese kind, behaves well, and they concern people too, that kind of things. So, so I take, the student to, I use the spring break to
okay.
And happen to be this year.
You're going to be going soon.
Soon.
Okay.
Yeah, going soon. I used to take, 25 students, not too many, and kind of a little bit strange,
So how many will you be taking this
time I
upcoming
only take
spring?
11 students, and a mix of high school students and some of the college students.
Oh, okay, both, good.
Both, yeah, for this time, because I introduced that I also teach at college, and some of my students are
Interested in going?
Yeah, interested in going, yes, yeah. And this year I have a little special things that I take a student Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Miyajima, and Himeji or Nagoya, whenever whichever they are available. And I take my student to Hiroshima because I'd like to talk about peace. I want them to have a chance to think about peace, how they can accomplish, how they can get to know or accomplish more peaceful world. So I take my student to Hiroshima and think about it. And we go to that Peace Memorial Park at that time. And there is the one of the memorial which called the Genbaku no Kono-zo. That is the memorial of the Sadako, Sasaki Sadako-san, who got the atomic bomb when she was 8 years old, and then she got the leukemia after that because of radiation. And 2 years of hospitalization, finally, unfortunately, she died. You know. So then I had a little hunch, and I had a chance to. Not I had. I will have a chance to meet Sadako-san's big brother this time. So I'm taking my student to Fukuoka to meet Mr. Masahiro Sasaki, and he's gonna meet with us and talk about how he can, how he's doing to advocate peace, you know, and so that will influence my student, their future. Hopefully, you know, it can take some time, you know, but hopefully they have a chance to think about how we can accomplish more peaceful world.
Well, with the three of you all being teachers in your respective fields, I think all of you have a wonderful opportunity to continue sharing and promoting peace with students and colleagues and friends, and I think now more than ever that's so important, especially with what's happening throughout the world. You know, thinking back to all three of you, your early days before you arrived to the United States, did you guys have a dream of traveling abroad, living abroad? Did you always view yourself as wanting to be a world traveler? Can maybe Tanaka Sensei, if you would mind sharing, did you always want to go to North America or Europe or wherever, or it was?
I never imagined it for years.
Yeah.
I happened to come here. And, you know, just like they're saying, you know, it's great that she managed to expose the student to make more understanding of what the Japanese culture is all about. So that person's opinion has changed. And so by exposing ourselves to different culture, making them understand different culture exists, and learn how to accept different way of living, different way of thinking, which help them to respect. Wow, this is how they think. And so, like, what's that? 1964, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said when he received Nobel Peace Prize, he said, sooner or later, we have to learn how to live together peacefully. You know, by reaching out to people, as many people as we can, and introduce a different culture, because that helped them to understand that this way of thinking was there. Like, for instance, in Japan, when eating udon, you know, make a noise, right?
Stopping.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you do that here, you said, oh, that's bad manners.
Right, you'll get some
You know,
looks.
you eat like a pig. But in Japan, they might say, you don't like it?
Right, yeah, very true.
You know, so you have to make a sound. So you really enjoy eating udon. So things like that, you know, I think introducing to other people, you know, there are different cultures which make people to think differently. Just because people think differently, it doesn't mean they're enemies. That's a different way of living. You know, like even right now, the Christianity versus Islam. You know, because they're pushing their idea into the other side, rather than accepting it.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to help people to learn how to accept. Because when they can accept it, then they can respect it.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Without accepting, they're not going to respect it. Because they're going to say, that's not good.
Well, all of us need to keep remembering that and keep preaching that to the people around us. How about Harada Sensei? Lifelong dream to travel abroad, or what? Maybe if you could share with us what brought you to Maine from before Alaska.
I was a graduate school at the University of Illinois. So when I approached the end of my degree, I started to look for a job.
In Maine, was that the first is that one of your first jobs out of school when you finished college in Illinois? Okay, and then from Maine it was here. So okay, great. How about you Sensei? Did you always imagine living abroad one day or traveling?
They have imagined to get on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never thought about it. The first 3 years after I came to Alaska, I was a student, and I was a very poor student. I didn't have money, until I get graduated from. I didn't have a chance to go back to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Just meeting my family. After so many years, and now have a good job. I'm teaching Japanese language at high school and college. And then I can create more chances for other people or youngsters to get to know the other side, So it's kind of, amazing. I didn't know, when I was their age, what I could do.
Yeah. What opportunities might be out there?
Yes.
Speaking of Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
When I came here as a student, I first came to University of New Hampshire. Yeah, and this. And then, that was my first flight to overseas. And then I came to Boston via Alaska and Los Angeles and Boston. After Korea and
LA after that.
Osaka, Korea, and then Alaska, LA, and Boston. Yeah. So Alaska, I stopped. I had a layover there, here in Alaska, and then several years later, I came back here. So maybe I'm meant to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all have everybody living in Alaska has a story why they are here, and so each of us has a story. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And
very beautiful and unique.
Yeah.
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 Well.
And then I think when I came here to New Hampshire, as he said, when he was talking about his English was very poor, my Japanese was very poor. I mean, not Japanese, English. I had a problem in English. I had a friend from Colombia. She is smaller than me, and she was much elder than me. But one day we went for shopping, and the shop clerk, their attitude was very bad toward foreigners. And when I said something, this shop, the clerk said, "What? What? I don't understand what is it. What?" Something like this. And then, so I felt so bad. Oh, my English is not bad. I mean, it's not good enough to communicate.
Mm.
So I kind of shrunk. And then Gloria, my friend, said something. And then this clerk said, "What?" again. And then her attitude was, she's so small and this guy is tall. "What?" And then she said, "You don't understand my Japanese English?" She said, "You should understand my English." And I was so surprised. Okay, that's the way, And I learned how to be proud of yourself. from
Well, your
her.
friend also showed a fighting spirit, just like the
Yes.
three of you.
She has such a strong accent. Yeah, but she didn't care. She wanted to communicate, and she had pride. And I think this country actually, in a way, educated me. Because in New Hampshire, I took a German class, and in the German class, this instructor asked, "Oh, class, what do you guys eat for breakfast?" And each of them had to say the answer in German. And then when it came to my turn, I said, "Oh, in Japan we have traditional Japanese food, and then we have rice and miso soup and fish." And then the classmate said, "Yuck!" And then I felt so bad. It's because I just came from Japan, fresh out of, So it was very shocking to me. And since then, I stopped talking about kind of Japanese culture, like slubbing or those things. But Gloria taught me how to be proud, and then this country also taught me how to be proud of your culture.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'm glad your friend really kind of inspired you a lot. That's
Yeah.
a very good friend to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
We've answered this a little bit, but perhaps we could elaborate a little more. All three of you have definitely become cultural ambassadors in our community and in our country. Was there something in your early years, maybe as a student or beforehand, that kind of motivated you to have that inside of you, to want to be a cultural ambassador to people abroad? I mean, like for Tanaka Sensei, through martial arts, certainly, that was a natural way to teach the Japanese way of karate. But was there anything else, maybe even in your student days, or just from growing up in Japan? Did you kind of in your mind always imagine that you might like to help, teach people about Japan and about getting along?
Well, as I said this before, I came and instantly I became an instructor. Then I had the position to talk about Japan and to introduce how Japanese culture is all about. But at the same time, I had to prove it to them we are worthy of getting respect. And that's the difficult part, because we can talk about whatever we want, but we have to make them to respect us.
Yeah, show it to them.
Show it to them. So because of that, what I had to, as I said, in the class, some of the students in my karate class are taking the same classes. I had to do better than them. So now I'm involved with the USA National Karate Do Federation, which is under US Olympic Committee. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to become a world referee. Because back then, okay, I'm teaching karate to help Japan. But now the United States need me. So I'm going to become, because back then only few world referee. So I decided to become world referee. So I became one and started teaching all the referees in the United States.
Wow.
Then finally, after 23 years teaching refereeing, I moved to technical committee. So I'm the chairman of the technical committee in the United States. So I'm responsible how to lead karate in this
First in
country.
the United States. Yeah. Wow. But how about Harada Sensei? You studied abroad, New Hampshire, Illinois, and then ended up working in Maine and now Alaska. When you were a student, were you motivated to kind of be a connector of
Yeah,
people?
well, so after starting my study at University of New Hampshire, I was in the English department. I was working for master's degree, but as he, like him, 1 year later, I was asked to teach a Japanese class there. So suddenly I became also teacher. I, served as a teacher while I was a student. And that was my first experience teaching Japanese here in this country. And so that experience taught me how, that kind of motivated me lit the light in me.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yes, I have to. And then I realized how much I didn't know about Japan and the Japanese language. So I
Kind of forced you to
studied so hard.
How about Ninoyu Sensei? I know coming to Alaska was already a surprise, but was it in your personality from before to kind of be a bridge builder between people?
So I'm just human, but to my student, I'm not human. I'm a Martian. I'm 250 years old. I came from Mars, so many years ago, and my birthday is the. What is my birthday? My birthday is the 2500 years and February 30th. That's my birthday, by the way. So that's always I answer to my students, and I always answer to the same way to my students' parents.
I have a question. What do they say? What's their response would be when you say February 30th?
There would usually be a look of confusion
Yeah.
and scratching to the head.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of them actually realize that there's no such a thing as 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, probably more than we like.
Yeah, they might just accept it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good. That's a good way to determine if they're really listening.
Yeah, if you're listening,
Yeah.
if you
Oh,
are
okay,
listening,
thanks.
yeah.
That's a good birthday.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's who I am, and I don't know, I can teach, well, I teach Japanese language, but when we talked about, life, respect, that kind of things, I don't know, I may, be part of it, but also I'm still learning how I can respect others, and which I can learn not only, elders, but also I can learn from my students too. I make mistakes, and the student, remind me something, So I'm, what was the
Well, I think making mistakes helps allow your students to just remind them that while you are their teacher and that you have a lot of experiences to share, that you are just human, and that's what human beings do, is they make mistakes. They're not perfect, but it's how they bounce back from them.
And also, I learned, this is, I don't know, I'm short-tempered or what, but I also learned when I live here that they are so generous and they are so patient. One of the instances the like this this situation when I talk something and when I need to talk during the staff meeting or something amazingly they keep quiet, and even if I don't speak good English, they try to listen and try to understand. They are so patient, me, if I'm the other way around, then what did you say? This, you know, the kind of the you know, what do you say? Starting to enter the you know the talk, you know, while they're still you know talking to you know. But something you know, that I learned a lot from the people around here is you know the patience, which I think you know important.
Yeah,
you know.
very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, indeed. So I think the stories and the experiences you've shared with me and with us have just been fascinating. Boy, you know, this is just the first of many Kotatsu series that we're planning to have, but I think we're very lucky to have the three of you go first, and I want to thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And appreciate you being so open with us today. We're very much benefited from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.